Welcome back to the Midlife Crisis. Been a minute, but let's see if we can keep this consistent. This is one for the men, specifically for the men. I'm in therapy, which I consider to be a good thing. It's to be honest, it's not something that I thought I was going to get a lot of benefit out of. But in only my second session, I'm seeing some benefit, if I'm being perfectly honest. Last night's session kind of reminded me of something that I hadn't thought about in a long time, which is the way that men and women communicate. I may have recorded a video about it similarly, but this is going somewhere. I've long believed, and I was reminded again last night, not by my therapist, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but this is just the conclusion that I came to, that men communicate to convey logic. Women communicate to convey emotion. And oftentimes personally, and I don't know if anybody else goes through this, but when your woman is communicating with you, a lot of times as a man, I'm trying to fix the problem. I'm trying to fix what it is that she's saying is wrong. When in reality, that's not what was actually wrong. What she's trying to, when she's saying that something's wrong, what she's looking for is that emotional recognition of what she's going through internally. This is just a manifestation of it. Her words are just a manifestation of how she's feeling emotionally. Now, why is it so difficult for people to just say, hey, this is how I'm feeling? A lot of people have issues, men and women combined have issues with just saying how they're actually feeling. So it manifests in different ways. Some people may lash out aggressively. Some people may end up cussing you out because of something that they felt, happened at work and they didn't get that off their chest. Like, it's a lot of different reasons why people don't do it. So I'm not knocking women for communicating the way that they do. And yes, I am generalizing. So I know that there are some exceptions to the rule and women who don't necessarily think like this or do this. But yeah, for the most part, women communicate to convey emotion, men communicate to convey logic. And that in and of itself starts a bit of friction in a relationship, because you're attacking the wrong thing. As a man, you're trying to fix what she's talking about, not realizing that what she's really talking about is how she's feeling on the inside. And the words may be totally different from what she's actually feeling, but they may lead you on the path. If you pay attention, it may lead you on the path to, knowing exactly what she's going through and what she's feeling internally. So I say all of that to say, make sure you're paying attention not only to what is said, but to what's not said. And don't necessarily be so quick to act. Don't be so quick to try to resolve the situation before you really realize what you're actually talking about. Now, I understand that takes a lot of in-depth knowledge about yourself and about your partner. That takes a lot of practice, to get that right, to understand what the hidden message actually is. And it takes a little bit more work than what you may see as being necessary. If you're already going to communicate with me to let me know something's wrong, why can't you just communicate with me to let me know how you're feeling? That's a valid question. It's a valid, any male who's thinking that is valid for thinking that. However, we also have to understand that that's just not how women are. We want them to come to some type of a compromise to understand that that's how we communicate, but we also have to come to a compromise, and I'm honestly saying this, to understand how they communicate too, so that the ultimate goal is for both of us to be able to communicate effectively and together, and to get our messages and our points across. That may, involve them using different words and different terminology to actually say what's wrong, but that also involves a lot of introspection from the man side to say what is it that's actually going on here, what's the real issue. Perfect segue into the next thing that I was thinking, because this is the revelation that I got in therapy last night. I focus a lot on making sure that my fiance is safe, but to me, the main focus in that safety is physical safety. I need to make sure I'm in shape. I need to make sure I'm stretched out. I need to make sure that I can lift a certain amount of weight, that I can punch a certain amount of time, that I can kick a certain height, that I can, last a certain amount of minutes or whatever, that I know what to do if I'm facing one person, two person, three people, so on and so forth. I need to understand, if there's a weapon around, can I use it? You know, am I throwing an axe at somebody? Am I wielding a sword? Am I shooting a gun? Am I doing all of that? Like, I focus a lot on that. And that's me as a man that's like, yeah, I need to make sure that that happens. I'm one of them old school guys, as I said. You know, I need to make sure that if we're out on the street and somebody, you know, comes out their mouth wrong or threatens us in any way or threatens the kids, I'm beating that dude's ass. Like, I'm fucking him up. But what I didn't realize is, or what I don't focus on, I should say, is emotional safety. You know, that subjective aspect of the relationship as well. You know, do you feel emotionally safe enough to be vulnerable with me? Do you feel emotionally safe enough to be open with me? Do you feel emotionally safe enough to be open and honest with me? And I say that's a revelation because just as much, you know, if I need to make sure I'm strong enough, I'm doing push-ups. If I need to make sure that I'm stretched out right, I'm stretching. If I need to make sure that I can handle a gun, I'm going to the range. If I need to make sure that I can handle a sword, I'm in my backyard practicing, you know, sword techniques. So all of that being said, there are exercises. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure that there are exercises that I could focus on just as much as me doing push-ups and crunches and, you know, all of the physical exercises that I do. I'm fairly certain that there's also exercises that I can work on to make sure she's emotionally safe as well. You know, whether that be listening intently or whether that be, you know, picking up on some type of you know, underlying cues that I don't normally pick up on, whether that's asking her a certain amount of questions every day. I don't know. I really don't. But it was a revelation. It's something that it's like, oh, it's a whole new world that's opened up. It honestly opened up because I don't necessarily feel as safe, but I like to even things out. You know, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. So if I'm thinking that I don't necessarily feel safe, does she? And if I'm wanting her to do things to make me feel safe, I'm capable of doing those same things for her to make her feel safe if she doesn't. So it's just a little tidbit of information that I got last night that I thought would be beneficial to share and to give out because, yeah, I think it really makes sense. Like it's a part of the relationship I never really focused on when it comes to safety and making somebody feel safe. But it's something that's definitely worth, you know, talking about with your spouse, talking about with your mate, and talking about with yourself. To figure out if this is something that you really need to work on. So, food for thought. I'll end it here.